Hey, this is John Catalfamo with Albany Fine Arts, and this is a better way to paint. I wanted to go over the process I use to prepare my canvas. Now, before I get into that, I just want to talk a little bit about the canvas. You know, there's many kinds. This is just a basic study canvas. There's really nothing fancy about it. It's pre-coated with a gesso. You can buy them this way. You know, it's very simple, very straightforward. It's an okay smooth surface, but you really need to prep it. Now you can buy canvas and stretch it yourself and buy the frames and get a better kind of canvas for your good projects. But for study work, these are just fine. So I just want to go over this basic thing. What I do is I take a small jar. I use gesso, basic gesso. You can buy it anywhere. It's made by Liquitex and other companies too. It's a basic white gesso that we add just a little bit of the base paint, some complementing color, burnt umber, burnt sienna, whatever, just to tint that so it's a different color than the white. That way you can tell what you've covered and what you haven't well. And then also, in addition to that, I like to add a little Tathium white. It just makes it more opaque, and it makes it so that when you're done, the entire canvas is coated. It prevents light from showing through when the painting is done if you haven't covered everything perfectly. It's just one layer that you put in underneath everything else. It also makes the painting smoother. You know, it's going to provide you with a better surface, so the outcome is going to be much better at the end. The other thing you should talk about here real quick is what happens when the painting is done. We'll go over this and I'll show you the process. First, let's talk about sealers. So there are different types of sealers. This one I like, multi-purpose sealer. You can get it anywhere. I also use the spray kind. These are, you know, this is like a varnish spray. It's not a polyurethane. It's more of a varnish or a final finish. It's a clear coating over the whole thing. Works just like polyurethane, but polyurethane has a tend to yellow and this doesn't yellow. It's really great. You can buy any of this stuff. You just go in to any one of your suppliers and they'll get you the right thing. I like the spray the best. The other thing is there's a Liquitex gel I use. This I use when I add to paint if I want texture. You know, one of the things that it has is it puts lift in the paint. So if you're looking for to do a molded feature, or you want to do something that's going to be turned into, they have new processes now called G-clay. This is great for that because it creates a texture in your art. It's really great for that. So, and remember, I mix in Tathium white in my base and a color. In this case, I picked, I think it was, I have a burnt umber that I'm using. So, you're going to need two brushes for this. I usually try to have one large brush to apply everything and another one to do a smooth coat at the end. So the process here, you get enough paint on the brush, add a little water to it, and you're going to follow back and forth on the canvas and just coat it as you go. It's really simple. It makes for a much better surface when you're ready to paint. And you cover the entire canvas with this. It doesn't take very long at all. It's a much better way to prep your canvas, and you get a much better finish at the end. And don't, you know, it doesn't have to be a perfect color. It just has to be a different color than the background, but light enough. Don't go too dark. Now, if you're doing a painting where the background is going to be much darker, you can go darker. It really depends on the composition. You don't want to have any hairs or anything in it. You want to make sure it's nice and clean. Also a good idea to make sure your brush is small enough so it'll fit in your jar of paint. My mistake. Anyway, we'll battle through it. The other thing I do is I make sure that I cover the entire thing and the edges of the canvas. And the reason I cover the edges of the canvas is so when I finish, it's always nice when you do your paintings that you do the artwork over to the end of the fold. So when you see a painting, you can see how I continue the cover to the edge, over the edge of the painting. So you see the paint goes all the way over the edge. That's gonna make your paintings look more professional and frame better too. You won't get lights showing through. So put a little bit on the edge. Just coat the edge a little, all the way around. You'll be glad you did. This nice clean coat. And then another final brush. And once you have it completely coated, you switch to your dry brush and give it a nice brush in both directions. And this really smooths out the paint, and you won't have any imperfections. It'll be much smoother than the original coating that it came with when you purchased it. And that's all there is to it. And it's very simple. It's going to make your paintings come out much better. You're going to have a much professional look when you're done with your work. Okay? This has been, a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed it. A better way to paint. Albany Fine Arts. Have a great day.